G'day viewers, how are you? Look, I've had a little bit of time to think over the last week since I made a video referencing Scottish YouTuber, calls himself Count Dankula, who's been convicted of a hate crime for a video he posted a while back. And while I made it really clear, I thought the prosecution in and of itself was stupid and the conviction was a travesty, I did make light of the fact that he's a piece of shit and I have no sympathy for him when he's doing this alt-right stuff of basically trying to normalise hate speech. But I got feedback from his fans that was calm and measured, and they laid forward a flawless case showing logically, despite his long association with the alt-right, despite using such extreme anti-Semitic language, despite his history with the Pepe and Kekistan memes, he's obviously left-wing and progressive, and the fact that he's hanging out with Tommy Robinson now is no reflection on who he is as a person at all. So it's fairly clear that I need to offer an unequivocal apology. Ah, April Fool, fuck that guy, and fuck his worthless, shit-eating, sycophantic fan base. Honestly, you cockheads, if you're going to go with, he's not an awful right-winger, and then follow that up with a bunch of homophobic, racist, anti-Semitic, bigoted hate speech, you're not covering yourself in glory, you fucking idiot. What is it with this mob, the alt-right, the neo-Nazis, the bigots, who think that people can't see them and what they're doing? It's like half of them are just acting in bad faith to put forward this idea that they can say whatever they want. So they're normalising hate speech, going, hate speech should be acceptable. And if you call me out on it, I'm just joking. And the other half are too fucking stupid to realise how see-through they are, and they think people can't see what their motivations are. You're all fucking pathetic. Fuck the lot of you. Back to our regular programming. Totally fucked up. G'day again, viewers. Welcome to another weekend edition of TQ. Hey look, one benefit to me being slack and putting this together late is it goes up on April Fool's Day. So I can piss on those idiots a bit more. But hey, there's been a few very interesting stories around the world, and there's a theme. Like, we're on the Easter weekend, and the three things I'm going to talk about the people involved managed to tie in language about this time of year in the Christian calendar. And the first one I want to talk about is a Fox News commentator, Laura Ingraham, who got in a bit of bother this week. She, like an enormous number of right-wing pundits, have been personally attacking the survivors of the school shooting in Florida. She particularly singled out David Hogg and was laughing at him for apparently getting rejected from some universities. And, that's a thing that rational adults do. Rational adults, to advance their political agenda, attempt to vilify and humiliate kids who've been through the worst. It's very hard for me to imagine a much worse experience than a mass shooting in your school. And yeah, that's something you should completely respect, an adult with a serious platform on TV who goes after kids who've been through that. I mean, that shows a person of integrity and morality, right? But, at least she stands behind the thing she says. Except when she doesn't. Because David Hogg followed up on Twitter to her tweeting shit about him, saying, hey, maybe you think what she's doing is unreasonable. If you think she's unreasonable, here's her top 10 advertisers. Maybe you want to share your views with them. And a couple of other outlets did, and also pointed out she has a long history of being just fucking awful. And lo and behold, she does start to lose advertisers. And she really quickly does a public apology on Twitter to David Hogg, like, oh, it's awful. And she goes, in the spirit of Holy Week, I hope you can forgive me. I mean, fuck these people and their false religiosity. I mean, for fuck's sake, they are so lucky that religious bullshit they spout isn't true, because they'd be going straight to hell. And it's obvious they don't believe the shit they spout. If they started... Seriously, if you're spouting all this shit about, the Bible, Jesus, being good and honourable, while also being the most hideous, venal, cruel fucking people on the planet, you'd know you're going to hell. They don't believe. None of them are believers. They couldn't possibly act the way they do if they truly believed the shit they spout. It's one of the times I get disappointed that these religions aren't real, because these fucking hypocrites, they'd be burning in the hottest corner of hell. Lucky for them, none of it's real. So she's going, oh, please forgive me and whatnot. It's kind of funny she's not the only one who's copped flat. I mean, Ted Nugent did, but, you know, I assume he doesn't care. I mean, he writes songs about wanting to fuck 13-year-olds and still gets invited into the White House. He threatens extreme violence, murder on a sitting president, gets invited into the White House by the next president. I'm pretty sure he doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks of him. But there was a fun one, Frank Stallone. If you've never heard of him, you're in the majority. He's actually Sylvester Stallone's brother. But Frank Stallone tweeted this ridiculous shit about, oh, I bet kids, his peer group, really want to come and sucker punch him. Like, he's basically inciting kids to physically assault David Hogg. And he's, again, apparently surprised when there's some blowback. And now, because he's a big tough man spouting his big tough man stuff, he's actually protected his Twitter account because he's so tough he can't actually accept responsibility for things he does himself. But I do note with interest a few conservative outlets seeing that, hey, wait, God, Laura Ingraham had to actually pay a price for her horrifically fucking unacceptable behaviour. Oh, this is a dangerous precedent. What? The dangerous precedent of people having to actually accept responsibility for the things they do and say? I mean, I get why these outlets think that's a dangerous precedent, because they've suffered almost no repercussions over the years. But it isn't even new. The thing, boycotts and similar things happen all the time. Both sides of politics do them. You can't fucking condemn the Dixie Chicks and try to destroy their career just because they said they didn't support George Bush, and then say it's not fair to stop advertising on this person's media outlet just because she's vilifying and abusing kids who've been through a fucking school shooting. For fuck's sake. And the people go, oh, it's Big Brother. It's capitalism, you thick bastards. If you're not socialists, shut the fuck up. Because when you rely on advertisers giving you money, when they give you money, it's at least tacit endorsement of what you do and say. So if you do something that they think is outside of what they're willing to support, you're going to lose their fucking money. It's called capitalism, you munters. For God's sake. Oh, so I want to back to Australia for another thing that happened here on the holy days of the Catholics and, well, broader Christians as well. Our state parliament here in Victoria was voting on some legislation, and the vote didn't finish, and they were actually going to extend a sitting through to Good Friday. And that was apparently like the first time ever this was going to happen. They were going to be sitting on Good Friday and having this vote. It was about a government policy about how to handle the fire brigade and the country fire authority. And two of the conservative pollies said, I'm really, really seriously religious, and it's really hurtful to me to have to sit on Good Friday. It's very important. And it is for most Christians. It's one of the most significant days in the calendar. And they said, it's wrong for us to sit on Good Friday. So the state government did what they call a pairing arrangement. It's a thing, it's a borderline unofficial practice that happens in our parliaments, both state and federal. If people from one party can't attend a vote for a legitimate reason, illness or some other critical legitimate reason, the other side of politics will say, okay, we'll take one of our people out of the vote as well, so then we'll have the same number of votes going in. So it's like, okay, so the government had like a one vote majority in this whole thing. So they say, okay, you two guys go away, just, you know, in the spirit of fair play, two of our MPs will step out, okay? The government would still have had a one vote majority and would have got the legislation they wanted. But what happened is both of these guys who said their deep, deep religious convictions meant they couldn't be there, they were actually fucking hiding in the parliament, and then just before the vote was taken, they ran back into the chamber and go, here we are, ready to vote. And so, of course, that then flipped the one vote majority to their favour, because they used their religion to fucking lie and spit in the face of all convention of our parliament. I mean, on one level, I just find it kind of funny that they're that fucked. Like, as far as dick moves go, this is the dickest move. But these worthless parasites who clearly don't believe the religious bullshit they spout. It's like, okay, I am going to use the holiest day in my purported religion's calendar to fucking lie, cheat, bear false witness. There are actual commandments in the Bible saying, don't do this. I mean, the pairing thing is just a convention, although most commentators agree they can't think of a single instance of someone being such a colossal dick like this. But it's like, these guys used their religion as a justification, and then they just lied. And it was like, what a piece of shit. Like, I can't really get very angry because of how pathetic it is. Like, sure, major dick move. Hideous bit of hypocrisy. But why, dude, how fucking pathetic are you? Like, you've just fucked it. Like, no one is ever doing pairing again. And I assume no one's ever fucking trusting these guys again with anything ever. I mean, to lie like that, it's just like, you could not ever believe anything these guys ever said again. It's just super fucking strange. With all the big, heavy, out of control shit in the world, just seeing someone do this thing, it's just like, well, you're just a dick. It's almost refreshing to be able to look at something that, okay, look, the government is going to have trouble now with this bit of legislation they wanted. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. Those guys are dicks. That's all I can think. On speaking of dick, I mentioned during the week the absolutely bizarre furor with the Australian cricketers. Okay, Australian captain, vice-captain and the batsman cheated. And they did it in a way that's regarded as incredibly unsportsmanlike in a game that regards itself as very gentlemanly and sportsmanlike. And so being unsporting is regarded as a bad thing. And they're vilified around the world and everyone's going... But towards the end of the week, like Friday, multiple different commentators started talking about, for those who aren't familiar with the Christian religion, Good Friday marks the crucifixion of Jesus. And these guys are going, Jesus wasn't the only one crucified on these days. These poor cricketers are being punished far too harshly. They're the ones being crucified now. Like, what the fuck is it with this incident, with this cricket thing, that people can't say rational things? I just felt like the outrage and the scale of the outrage when it happened didn't make any sense. But now doing this ridiculous hyperbole, like, these fine young men have been crucified. Just calm the fuck down. What the fuck? And it's also really telling to notice a lot of these commentators in the media, particularly sports media, saying, I think we've gone too far. These are the same people who've paid for the blood of other people, like Indigenous sportsmen taking a stand against racism in their game. And they've vilified them and said they're awful. Even just public figures who expressed an opinion they didn't like, and it's like, burn them, destroy them, ruin their careers. They said a thing I don't like. And they are nowhere near as harsh on these guys who actually cheated within the game. It's just like, this is why I don't like people. People do this ridiculous shit, and it's got to calm down. Because until people get some rational way of just taking responsibility for shit and being even-handed with how they respond to things, everything's fucked up.